At 95, Joanne Woodward finally tells the truth about Paul Newman. Joanne Woodward was born Joanne Gignat Trimere Woodward on February 27, 1930, in Thomasville, Georgia. Woodward grew up with a fascination for storytelling and theater from an early age. Her passion for acting was kindled by watching films as a young girl and later nurtured through school plays and local theater productions. She attended Louisiana State University, where she studied drama and honed her craft, setting her sights on a career that would soon mark her as one of the most talented performers of her generation. After completing her education, Joanne Woodward moved to New York City to pursue acting professionally, immersing herself in the world of theater and television during the post-war boom of the 1950s. She studied under Sanford Meisner at the Neighborhood Playhouse, developing a refined acting technique grounded in realism and emotional authenticity. Her early television appearances showcased her natural charisma and versatility, paving the way for a transition to film that would solidify her place among Hollywood's elite. Woodward's big break came in 1957 with the film The Three Faces of Eve, where she delivered a stunning performance as a woman with multiple personality disorder. Her portrayal of the complex character was both haunting and compassionate, earning her the Academy Award for Best Actress. This role not only launched her into stardom, but also established her as one of the first major actresses of the modern psychological era in film. Critics and audiences alike were captivated by her ability to embody vastly different personas with nuance and sincerity, setting a new standard for female performances in Hollywood. Beyond her film career, Woodward also made significant contributions as a producer and director. She had a sharp eye for compelling stories and a passion for developing meaningful projects that illuminated the human experience. She produced several films and television programs, often championing women's perspectives in an industry that was at the time largely dominated by male voices. Later in life, she also became deeply involved with the arts community in Connecticut, where she and Newman lived. She served as artistic director of the Westport Country Playhouse, revitalizing the historic theater and mentoring young actors and playwrights. Joanne Woodward's acting career spanned over 5 decades with acclaimed performances in films such as Summer Wishes, Winter Dreams, The Effect of Gamma Rays on Man and the Moon Marolds, The Drowning Pool, and Mr. and Mrs. Bridge. She earned numerous accolades throughout her career, including multiple Emmy Awards and Golden Globe Awards, reaffirming her status as one of America's finest actresses. Her work reflected not only talent, but integrity. Woodward consistently chose roles that spoke to the complexity of human emotion rather than mere glamour or fame. In addition to her artistic success, Joanne Woodward was admired for her humanitarian spirit and quiet philanthropy. Alongside Newman, she co-founded several charitable organizations, including the Hole in the Wall Gang Camp, which provided joyful experiences for children with serious illnesses. The couple's legacy of compassion and generosity continues to inspire artists and activists today. As she gracefully aged out of the Hollywood spotlight, Joanne Woodward's impact only grew more profound. She became a symbol of dignity, perseverance, and authenticity, an actress who never compromised her values for stardom. Her later years were marked by her devotion to her family, her community, and the arts she so dearly loved. Though she is largely retired from public life, her body of work remains timeless, reminding audiences of a golden era of cinema shaped by intelligence, talent, and heart. Joanne Woodward first encountered Paul Newman at their agent's office, a seemingly ordinary setting that would prove pivotal in both of their lives. At the time, both were relatively unknown actors navigating the uncertain terrain of early careers in theater and film. In 1953, they were cast as understudies for the Broadway play Picnic, a classic Tennessee Williams drama, which placed them in close proximity professionally. These initial encounters, though not in the limelight at this stage of their careers, were laying the foundation for a lifelong partnership. Their rapport grew not only from shared ambition, but also from mutual respect for one another's dedication and talent. This period was marked by the typical struggles of young actors, with long hours in rehearsal, limited recognition, and an ever-constant drive to prove themselves. It allowed a natural friendship to blossom into something deeper, perhaps rooted in shared dreams and maybe the understanding that their paths might one day converge in a much larger way. By 1957, the professional paths of Woodward and Newman aligned on a more major stage when filming of The Long Hot Summer began. The movie served as a juncture for both actors. Newman, already starting to gain attention for his overwhelmingly present screen presence, and Woodward, on the cusp of major critical acclaim, found themselves immersed in a project requiring no less than their acting prowess, deep chemistry. Their collaboration in this film brought to a head the personal connection that had quietly developed over the years. Together, they negotiated the pressures of Hollywood's increasing spotlight, the public eye, and the emotional demands of portraying complex and passionate characters. It was during this time that Newman divorced his then-wife, Jackie Witt, whom he had already fathered 3 children with, to pave a way for a more permanent and public partnership with Woodward. Woodward and Newman married on January 29, 1958, in Las Vegas, where quick weddings are common, but which would indelibly be etched into Hollywood history as the starting point of one of the most enduring marriages in the entertainment industry. Only a few months later, on March 28, 1958, Woodward hit the zenith of her career as she garnered the Academy Award for Best Actress for her transformation in The Three Faces of Eve film, in which she played a woman with multiple personalities. The timing of the award was serendipitous, signaling not only a professional triumph, but also a personal milestone in a marriage that would soon become the stuff of legend for its longevity and devotion. Their marriage endured for an extraordinary 50 years, a rarity in an industry often characterized by fleeting relationships. Newman passed away from lung cancer on September 26, 2008, leaving behind a legacy of both cinematic brilliance and personal devotion. Reflecting on their life together, Woodward has said he's very good-looking and very sexy and all of those things, but all that goes out the window. Finally, and what finally is left is if he can make somebody laugh. And he sure does keep me laughing. Her words bring into view the profound emotional intimacy underscoring their marriage, underlining humor, companionship, and mutual joy as the glue that sustained them through decades of fame, personal challenges, and the inevitable trials of long-term commitment. Newman, too, spoke candidly about their union, attributing its success to some combination of lust and respect and patience and determination, a succinct but deeply telling insight into the balance of passion and steadfastness defining their partnership. In interviews, Newman often addressed the question of fidelity with characteristic wit and charm. When asked by Playboy magazine how he remained faithful to Woodward throughout their decades-long marriage, he responded, "I have steak at home. Why go out for hamburger?" The remark reflects not only his loyalty, but also a playful acknowledgement of their enduring attraction and connection, framing fidelity as an active choice rooted in desire, respect, and satisfaction within a deeply bonded relationship. Together, Joanne Woodward and Paul Newman built a family, as well as a legacy. They had 3 daughters, Ella Laner Teresa, affectionately known as Nell, born in 1959, Melissa Stewart, born in 1961, and Claire Olivia, called Clea, born in 1965. Woodward's devotion to her family ran parallel to her devotion to her craft, as she balanced motherhood with a demanding acting career. Each daughter grew up in the light of their parents' commitment to one another, learning from a marriage that, while not without its complexities, modeled love, respect, and partnership. For this reason, the story of Joanne Woodward and Paul Newman is more than a Hollywood romance. Rather, it is the story of lasting love, professional collaboration, and that rare magic which happens when 2 souls nurture both personal and creative bonding over a lifetime. At 95, Joanne Woodward, the luminous actress whose career spanned decades and whose personal life fascinated the public almost as much as her performances, has finally broken her long-standing silence to speak candidly about her legendary husband, Paul Newman. Poised, gracious, and incredibly talented, Woodward had always shielded the private details of her life with Newman, protecting the mystique of one of the most mythic couples in Hollywood history. But in an extraordinary moment of reflection and candor, she allowed herself to speak with rare honesty about their marriage, their deep connection, and what lay behind the glittering public image. "We loved each other more deeply than anything else in this world," she said, her voice still carrying the warmth and sincerity that had defined her presence both on screen and off. For decades, the world had been captivated by the partnership of Woodward and Newman. Their marriage, lasting over 50 years until Newman's death in 2008, had often been held up as a model of enduring love in Hollywood, a rarity in an industry notorious for fleeting romances. Yet, even with the attention and speculation, Joanne Woodward remained steadfast in protecting the intimate truths of their life together. Now, in her mid-90s, she spoke without reservation, offering a glimpse into the private dimensions of a relationship that had withstood fame, public scrutiny, and the inevitable pressures of a long life shared together. "It wasn't always easy," she admitted. "There were moments of tension, times when we disagreed, times when life tested us. But the foundation of our marriage was trust, mutual respect, and a kind of love that could endure anything." Woodward's reflections illuminate not just the extraordinary nature of their romance, but also the character and strength she brought to the union. An accomplished actress in her own right, she carved out a career that was admired for its intelligence and range, earning an Academy Award for her performance in The Three Faces of Eve and captivating audiences in films such as Rachel, and The Stripper. Yet, despite her own achievements, Woodward often spoke of the partnership with Newman as a source of inspiration and stability. "Paul was my partner in every sense," she shared. "He supported me, challenged me, and made me want to be the best version of myself. We were equals, but we also completed each other in ways that are hard to describe." Their love story was not just about mutual admiration or shared interests. It was about a profound, emotional connection that transcended the superficial trappings of fame. Joanne Woodward recalled the little moments, the quiet rituals, and the unspoken understanding that had anchored their life together. "It's the small things that mattered most," she said. "A glance across a crowded room, a touch on the shoulder, a shared laugh in the middle of chaos. That is what love really is. Not the grand gestures or the public appearances, but the steady, quiet presence of someone who truly knows you." Woodward also touched on the challenges of maintaining a relationship under the relentless scrutiny of the public eye. Both she and Newman were celebrities, yet they managed to shield the core of their life from intrusion. "People often thought they knew us, but no one really knew the intricacies of our life together," she explained. "There were rumors, speculations, stories in the press, but we never let that define us. Our love was private, sacred in its own way." As she speaks at 95, there is a reflective quality in Woodward's tone, a mixture of nostalgia, reverence, and gentle melancholy. "Paul was extraordinary in so many ways," she said. "He had a generosity of spirit, a kindness, a moral compass that guided him through life, and he had a sense of humor that could light up any room. To have loved someone so deeply and for so long is a gift I cherish every day, even though he is no longer here." In finally sharing her thoughts, Joanne Woodward